last chance for these players to make something happen. I'm curious to see who's going to be in this lobby that we're going to be seeing. Are they going to be dropping at one of the most popular drops, Grim Gate? Like mentioned earlier, Mr. Savage, Mongrel, Thomas Queasy, some of the Titan duos were actually not able to make it to this qualifier, but they have gotten enough series points to make it in the lower bracket of the semifinals. So all the players here are trying to see if they can scavenge their spot into lowers or possibly make it all the way up into uppers. But for Carnage and his duo partner, it's always good to start off with an Elim. Gives you that player advantage, gives you that little boost of confidence. The thing is though, Jacob, their opponent here does have almost full shield. If he is able to make a push here, they do have chug splashes though. Yeah, it's going to be more difficult now, but I mean, I got faith.
Yeah, it's definitely going to put him in a tough situation. See him at least starting first step of the journey, getting his teammate back, dropping down, gathering together as much of the loot as possible. And those builds that he just got is very, very useful for him to try to disengage off this fight. It doesn't look like these guys are going to go on a chase very, very early on, and rightfully so. It's so much time, and it might have spoke a little bit too soon. It does look like they're at least going in that direction, but it really all depends on what they see, especially with Grim Gate so close by.
Take a quick look at how this first Elim
It's good
came to be. Yeah, I wonder what made him drop there kind of under the little lighthouse, because he had no kind of environmental coverage. You don't have mats so early on, so maybe he kind of like slid off the roof or something, or is trying to get a weapon at the building and was trying to run back to his teammate, but caught off guard a little bit. For Vortex though and Belusi, looking quite healthy. No Elims on the board, but both split up, kind of taking their own loot path, trying to be as efficient as possible in terms of getting all the ammunition, loot, and materials.
Good team though, Vortex and Belusi. They got their lower bracket spot secured, but they need about 300, 350 or so series points to get that upper bracket spot secured. So they definitely got a journey today left for them. Good thing is they're off to a good start, just like Chulex, Chicho. Doesn't look like they are uncontested, or they are contested so far. Maybe one team towards the outskirts in that river that you see on the island. And this is a team, after failing to qualify for Major 1, and how well they did at the Global Championship right before that, it was a true shock. No one really expected it, but I think right now they're out for a vengeance. They're definitely going to solidify their spot in the semifinals. It's just a matter of where.
Some of those things kind of give you motivation, right? It's like being so close. But for Floki here, Vox at the Grim Gate. We were talking about it earlier. There's also our Malibuca Mer dash drop. One of the most popular POIs, as you can get those dashes if you're able to pick up the Cerebus medallion. Even just, you know, dipping your toes in the river of sticks. That water in the surrounding area will refill your dashes as well without having the medallion. But Floki has more things to worry about, as Jakey right inside the box, getting that knock. 2 versus 1 now. Player advantage. Yeah.
Because he's not only by himself, but this is a team that they need a good week here today. Definitely a top 200 at the very minimum for them to continue their FNCS journey alive. And with one player already going down, a lot of players in the minimap, you see them here in the noise going down over towards Grim Gates, and that's where they begin to at least move over in that direction, see what's going on. And now Vox, wall to wall, box to box, Twee lands a good shot. They already have the Grim Gate loots as well. You see the Mythic in the inventory. They have the dashes. They're trying to make their way into the box, and with ease, 2 different angles, Floki and Vox go down in game 1.
It's really difficult to get out of that situation. 2 opponents, fully healed, each side of the box. You've got to be him to come out of that. We can see how they picked up that first Elim, though. Great piece control from Jakey there, closing out the angles. For Chapix, known as Uguay in game, and his duo partner here, though. No Elims on the board, but a good amount of loot and materials that they can use now to box up around this forecast tower alongside the high elevated area, so they can kind of see, you know, who's in their surroundings, who might want to take this from them or battle them from it. But they're looking quite free at the moment.
Yeah, but you do see some predators in the distance, Voco and Vortexers, slowly but surely wanting that forecast tower as well. CZB Nathan, very, very good week in week 1. I do believe they had multiple VRs. I know one of them for sure. And that was the thing. Through the start of week 1 qualifiers, it was kind of the newer teams, the ones that didn't have that FNCS finals lobby experience that were really rising to the tops, and their grasp over that leaderboard slowly but surely fell as the day went on. But I'm looking for every single moment that these guys have an opportunity, gain experience like that, just to progressively get better. And right now it does look like they're just trying to sneak up on a team that might have contested them over towards Grand Glacier.
You can see there's actually more than one team in this area. They could even be sneaking up on a third party if the engagement breaks out earlier. These are kind of risky situations to be in because you normally don't want to be the initiator when there's 3 duos in the surrounding area. You want to be that duo that comes in once the party is coming to an end already. People start leaving. That's your time to strike when everybody's low on shields, low on loot, but nothing's going to break out quite yet. Pingy and his duo partner are going to keep maintaining, I'll call it high ground here, the elevated location on top of the building of Grand Glacier. Just making sure they kind of know what's happening in their surroundings. They have the vision. But look at this, Jacob. Vortexer said, you know what? Nobody's contesting this forecast tower. Maybe we should join the party, try and stop Chapix and his duo partner from doing so.
Yeah, I'm even hearing some shields just kind of get chopped off a little bit. And this is going to be one of those long game fights. You see the zone pulling away from the forecast tower. So eventually, if it continues to stalemate, it's not going to be good for either one of these teams, especially those who lack the heals. And Car's not even down just yet. That's a lot of the chaos you're seeing, but great shot by Julie. Trying to reunite with Chapix as Voco and Vortexers do seem to find a way to get control of that forecast tower, but the fight's not done just yet. It's not going to be enough just to get it under your control. Now you got to survive to make full use of it.
We need to see aggression here from Julie and Chapix. It's the perfect moment to strike. One player has chug splashes out. The other was cracked, but now it's taken too long. Both players back to almost full shield and HP, as now Julie has been hit. No longer with that opportunity to play more aggressive. Chapix continuing to look for angles. One big pump shot is all it could take to have enough pressure to go in, but now once again they've been put into sort of a stalemate here, where one team has the card and the other does not want to let them take it.
Especially with the third party, they're kind of gatekeeping on the edge of zone. They have the decision to kind of hold their spot. Voco Vortexers, they already have the forecast tower. And then Chapix and his duo kind of disengaging in different directions. Luckily for everybody here, they're not too far from the zone. So even though they will take damage, you see them repositioning in the minimap. It's not going to be a ton of damage, or at least not something they can't worry about later on, whether they get a flopper, med kit, or any of the foraged fruits and vegetables that are laying around the map.
Good news is, so early on in the match, the zone will not be ticking too heavily, so you can kind of afford to stay inside the zone and recuperate what you lose from bandages, medkits, whatever you kind of want to find along the way. Hopefully, though, you can conserve those medkits for the late game, as heal-off is quite prevalent in the current meta. But sometimes you might just have to use it. Flashback to Grand Glacier here. What has gone wrong from Pingy, who had the high ground, to now getting eliminated. Both elims onto Nathan. Now on the board with CZB, both of players looking incredibly healthy. Zone also closing around the Grand Glacier, so this is actually great for this duo.
And this is a team that has almost nothing to lose here today. They don't quite have the upper bracket spot secured, but with eliminations like this, trapping your opponent, you know they're going to be well on their way in. And they need about 70 or so points, maybe 100. So that's about a top 200 finish. So they need to finish between top 200, top 225 to get their upper bracket spot secured. So when you have that type of flexibility, it allows you to play with like a different freedom than some players in the lobby may not be able to use to their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing a different game at that point, Jacob. Out of the 250 players, we just need 225. My game is anybody that's landed in my drop spot, I am fighting them off spawn. I am not letting them roam freely. I'm going to do whatever I can to try and stop them from making it through semifinals. And that's exactly what we saw, the aggression from the early game around their drop spot. But let's head back over to another 2 versus 1 engagement is what it seems. But how long is that going to last, Jacob? Quick little dance sent back to the lobby. Legendary pump now in the inventory. 2 elims on the board. Good way to continue out the match.
And that's where, you know, we saw the forecast towers get taken. Third zone, which means the bunkers are going to start to open up, or already have at this point in the game. There's 9 bunkers possible around the map, with only 6 have the potential of opening up. And that's why you see a lot of teams, and preferably them, they, you know, get to that bunker very, very early. They base on it, just like the forecast tower. And then about a minute and 10, when the third zone opens up, that's when the bunker will actually start to open up. You can go in and get your loot. So if you get it down with your path, you know other players that are landing nearby, you can actually get to one of those bunkers quickly and defend it as it opens up.
It's like those mid-map objectives, right? Forecast tower, bunkers. It's very important to have these inside your kind of overall game plan. From your drop spot to your loot path to your surge path to your potential forecast tower or bunker path. Marian, Moneymaker. Look at this, 4 elims already on the board. But Marian, can he put it to an end in the 1 versus 2? 4 bananas in the inventory, 6 chug splashes, but now with 1 HP left, gonna be gifted to the opposing duo. They're looking incredibly healthy now.
Yeah, and Moneymaker for Nine are in the same position as Yanis and Flixie. 0 points in the week 1 qualifier, a huge hiccup in their game plan. So they're really leaving it all on the line here today. And you can see it feels like their strategy, get some eliminations early, get the points flowing, start to build that momentum. So when you go through the second half of the day, you're not in as much of a hole. It makes it easier, and you're not anxious or nervous as much as you could be if you're farther down the leaderboard. With Vaniac already down, that's a similar position Swizzy's in by himself. Luckily, he does have a fantastic loadout to survive, you know, a bit longer if anybody targets him. The Flowberry Fizz, multiple shields, and then obviously the Brawler's Battleground loot. I can only assume he might have the Mythic with him to cover some distances if he does get chased.
I believe he did. I mean, Swizzy was just watching, you know, popcorn in hand, taking a look at what's going on. I believe his duo partner's, you know, reboot card might be in that engagement, seeing that For Nine and Moneymaker already have 5 elims. You can only assume they eliminated Swizzy's duo as well, which is why he's kind of like eyeballing that build fight, seeing where the card might be. But For Nine is not trying to let that happen so easily. As you can see, he's kind of marking around, taking a peek, saying, did I just see Swizzy? I think I saw a bit of movement there. Let me just confirm, though, as now the aggression continues.
Yeah, and I also think it's a little bit of the, let's say, lack of information. You don't see Swizzy anywhere trying to run around. You think he's backtracking. That first shot was a monster of a shot, making it easy for Moneymaker to go in, get the finish, take down Swizzy. From 5 eliminations to 6, these guys are definitely heating up early. And just by looking at how many players are left alive, it would be zone 5 where it would turn on. I don't think we're going to get Surge until maybe zone 6 or 7 in this game, which allows for Moneymaker and Fnayan to do exactly what they're doing without worries.
Ooh, one of my favorite duos here, Nako and Kire, actually qualified in the last match with a 15 elim victory royale. Nako even jumped in a pool. He was so happy after yesterday's qualifier. So let's see if they can keep that momentum forward now in the qualifier finals here. Round 4. Looking to take...
I think it's Artis and his duo, Fruzy. They were able to get that early elimination off spawn that we saw very, very early. You see him, the Thunderbolt of Zeus as well in his inventory, but sooner or later, sometimes overstaying the fight, spending a lot of builds, and even getting sniped from off of Rift Island will kind of make you force a decision like this, disengaging instead of overstaying that fight. You are on top of Rift Island, so if you are able to get those HP heals, you can stay there just a little bit, sacrifice some of that HP to try to continue to get damage from high above everybody else.
Who even had an angle onto Artis, just on the Rift Island, like what mountain, what ridge? I guess he was close to the edge. Maybe they kind of like nicked his elbow or something. I'm not sure what happened, but what a shot, whoever sniped him. But yeah, the flag has been captured already. There's only 2 duos up here. They have the launch pad they can use to get back in to the zone. But you can see there's already duos looking at them from that initial snipe. So they will have to be careful. And speaking about mythics, there goes your base, Jacob.
Yeah.
They gotta use at least another 200 brick to rebuild what they had going there. And once again, oh, this is a tragedy. This is an absolute tragedy.
Did not expect to see it in a lobby like this. I don't know where he's throwing that Thunderbolt of Zeus, but it has to be in a great position. They have DMRs and cannot even fight back. Look how many builds they've expended. That's Trulex and Chicho there on the other side. I give them all A for effort, A for executing on that, because now they were able to get Storm Surge damage and they can rotate parallel to that team and possibly beat him to the center of the zone, depending on who's going to try to gatekeep him in this position. Trulex and Chicho already looking like to be an exciting duo to watch after missing Major 1 here today.
You know, they weren't even holding that in the inventory. They were just rotating through Mount Olympus. They said, hey, look, a little Thunderbolt of Zeus. Oh, look, there's a duo based up. Let's just grab this, throw a few Thunderbolts at them, you know, do a bit of damage. Why not? And it worked out. I mean, they are not complaining. For Sky and Scroll, they're not too happy, but on the bright side, a duo did get something positive out of it. Chapix Julie, once again, from combating the forecast tower to not being able to secure it. It was Vortex or Volko who actually captured it, meaning they do have vision on the upcoming zones before they appear. But on the other side, I mean, on the contrary, Chapix and Julie, if they were close to Vortexers and Volko, they'd know that they have vision on the next zone, so they could kind of like follow them in a sense, as they will know what the best position is. But based on the rotation, I don't believe they're too close to them. Now they're just kind of focused on getting into the zone. They have the damage they need. They have a decent amount of materials and loot, so hopefully there's not too many duos already based up in front of them, but it looks like it should be quite a free rotate.
Yeah, they just got to figure out how to get up this mountainside. The actual pathway is getting blocked off by a whole nother duo. They're forced to kind of reuse some of these builds, but the duo that originally moved up this side is the one starting to focus. Chapix dropped to 21 HP. Hard find goes in, gets the actual knock, leaving his duo all by himself, but the legendary banana is going to be popped, and it almost leaves a position where you got to abandon the fight onto Chapix. You can't play hero because final boss Foul and Hardfinder there, but I might have spoke too soon. One's going to get knocked. Chapix going to get traded out, so this comes down to a 1v1. And they're just stuck, sandwiched between the builds that they're at against the mountain and the zone itself.
Might be able to pick up final boss here, though. Foul. They are center zone, literally. Like, if you pinpoint the center of this 6th zone, they are inches from it. And he is going to be able to pick up his duo partner. Was a little scary, but they're back on their feet now for 9 Moneymaker in the same spot. Basically, I believe, from where we saw them before.
Yeah, just it's tough for rotations like this to where you don't have very many builds. You might not necessarily be faring well in Surge, so you're kind of forced to go for recycled goods, scraps that are left behind, while simultaneously being down on Surge. And I did see in the feed early on that Alex might have gone down, so this might have been a rebooted player, and that's why you see them just so low on some loot, trying to scrap together whatever they can. And luckily for them, though, there is going to be one team rotating in front of them, so if Storm Surge actually activates where they start taking damage, at least they have somebody rotating that they could possibly get shots on.
Luigi Steno, just 21 below.
Tough.
But that's enough to turn the game around if they're unable to get those tags. Unfortunately, both players go down. For Uzi Artist now, 108 above. It's comfortable, but it could be a lot more comfortable. Still has the Thunderbolt Zeus Mythic in hand. Gonna pop that Flowberry Fizz, though, to try and make their way into the zone. But you gotta be careful. So many duos looking back at you. Artist gets knocked down. For Uzi now, 257 above with the pressure that's being dealt. He's gonna have to use all his materials to get out of this situation now. Just one more wooden build placed as a ramp. Nothing left in the inventory. What do you do to get out of this situation, Jacob? Nothing. Eliminated.
I was going to say he has to find elimination. There's no choice. You won't be able to make that rotation without it. But now at least he doesn't have to worry. He can get into another game, kind of fix those mistakes, and kind of elevate those successes throughout Sky and Scroll. They had a big win in last week's games. They have the formula for success. And they made sure it didn't come down to a heal off as well. And just kind of looking, I don't see any HP heals in Sky. Maybe they left it all to Scroll. So they might be putting it all on the line to where they're going to do stuff like this, get eliminations on the outside, and possibly play for high ground in the same fashion that they did last week.
Showcasing the DMR, right? Levin was talking about it earlier on, one of the most powerful weapons in terms of getting tags for Storm Surge. Now with all the weapons kind of having projectile firing, it can be a lot more difficult to aim, but the DMR is kind of one of the, I don't want to say easier ones, but less difficult in a sense. So it's very beneficial for getting those tags and even eliminations, as we just saw. DKS Kaizen now. Only 2 shots in the sniper rifle, but that could be 2 elims if he can hit his shots. Being 300 above, though, you know they're feeling all right. No pressure on their shoulders yet.
Yeah, especially since they have a good spot here. They can drop down if they need to. Definitely giving themselves many different escape routes, especially with teams boxed up, not only on top, but all around. Taking away so much position. Vortex, Belusi, Misha, and Lusha on the other side. So many other teams. This is where it really gets tight with the spacing, especially as it waterfalls down a mountain. The next rotation here, where the zone goes, is going to be so crucial for teams to prepare for ahead of time, because you don't want to be surprised by a zone that possibly could have went north, but it does go south, eases up a little bit on the lobby. But if you don't have any builds, that's where it's going to get tough again.
Storm Surge is active. 45 above for Misha and Lusha. So far, you know, they're feeling kind of on the borderline. I'd like to see them find some tags here. Issue is they're kind of blocked below so many builds. They don't have a lot of opportunities to get those shots, and it has reached 40 players, so Storm Surge is no longer active, but depending on how this game continues on, that could be another issue they run into later in the match. As now, 8th zone is going to start coming to a close.
Yeah, and you can see where the zone is moving. It's on a weird little hill where there is high ground. There is this side of the mountain. A lot of position for players to actually choose to try to box up from. It's just if they have the builds, and then they got to worry about surviving this rotation. Moneymaker for Nyan trying to use the Flowberry Fizz to just bypass everybody else. But Moneymaker became a focus, forced to stop and stagger. But at least they made it to the edge of zone before that came through.
It's that limited mobility meta where we see so many of the duos using that Flowberry Fizz, that kind of momentum boost that you get, speed boost, jump boost from popping it, and that's one of the main rotation items, if not the key to making it through these end games. If you don't have the dashes. Lusha, Misha now choosing to kind of go under the train tracks through the tunnel. Hopefully this is a good decision depending on where this zone pulls towards. 9th zone going to appear now to the west.
Wow.
So I don't believe it follows the tunnel unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it goes a little bit outside of the track, so they're going to be able to get a little bit of a free rotation, but not as free, because as soon as it goes outside of those tracks, it cuts right to the left. So I think they played their cards decently well up until this point. It's just about survival, figuring out where they're going to get some more loot from. Belusi, Vortex, they have high ground, but for now, with the zone pushing forward, it's typically around these zones to where a team will start to look at how they can take down height and get it for themselves. So Vortex, Belusi, they have to be careful. Watch the backside of zone. They cannot take their eyes off the prize in the next coming seconds.
Continuing to apply that pressure. Good news, a lot of light ammo in the inventory, so they don't have to hold back. Vortexers, though, has lost Volko. He does know where the next zones are, but already being the moving zones, it's going to help him stay ahead. With the amount of materials he has, though, Jacob, I'm confident that he can secure quite a lot of points here. You can see him staying ahead and also probably looking to where that next zone's gonna pull, but what a duo just jumps right into your box from full mats to a solid loadout, getting eliminated without being able to secure as many points as he would have liked. Misha now, can you do the same thing, but with less materials? 253 below. A miracle is what Misha needs right now. Could this be it? Still 250 below. Pressure onto his boxes now. He's taken out as well.
Moneymaker's able to find that one. DKS, a lot of chaos going down, but this is where the placement points mean so much. From 18th to top 4, Kaiser gets another one on a Moneymaker, ending the run, leaving Fnayan by himself. He needs to get to zone. He only had 1 cabbage, so only would have done so much. Legendary banana pop for Fnayan. That's not only going to give him the HP he needs, but a speed boost as well to stagger himself and get to the front of zone in no time.
Flowberry Fizz put to good use here. Issue is not enough materials to even build the box. Put himself in a cone. Belusi, Vortex still maintaining the high ground. CZB Nathan as well, looking healthy as a duo, picking up another elimination. Chicho now, 0 elims, 0 duo partner. Does have 2 medkits though and chug splashes. Can choose to play a bit of a heal off here when he runs out of materials.
This is where it matters. Decisions have to be made. You see him just trying to block all possible entrances. waiting to do exactly what you said. Start the med kit just a little early, try to get these placement points. Nathan, CZB, no stranger to this position. They already have a big win last week in these type of lobbies, and they're looking to do it again, especially with 5 eliminations, but they're getting targeted by the high ground, forced to change layers. They go ultimate low, but they meet their match. There's another team right in front.
Another duo was already playing low, so they're going to go up a layer. Has CCB made it up, though? There it is. Nice. Grouped up once again. Good chemistry for this duo. Nathan feeling good as well with his 5 eliminations for Twee and Jakey, though. They're the duo that's claimed ultimate low, dropping down another opponent team here as the knock comes through. Another 120 tag. Can he get it? The second one. One more elimination racked up now. 5 for Twee, 2, 3 for Jakey.
They have floppers. They're just finding so many huge impact eliminations that is keeping them in the game. Plus, they have the dash for the Grim Gate when push comes to shove. Trying to get another box. Another elimination has been found, pushing themselves into the top 3. Twee and Jakey are not slowing down. They finally reached those double-digit eliminations, but in comes Nathan. In comes CZB. Another knock. Everybody's just getting jumbled around outside of zone, and it's come down to a 2v1. Vortex and Belusi versus Twee. This is for the final game and the final moment. They drop down, finish it off, and with a big game needed to start the day, they take it all.
Vortex and Belusi, they got a call. They heard, we need a cleanup crew, top down. Got those eliminations, kind of just cleaned it up quickly, easy, by the book. I mean, Jacob, they were looking uncontested up above throughout the whole late game there, and they only attacked when they needed to in those last moments. No heal off needed, just straight up eliminations.
They started the day with 275 series points, 64th place. They need a big day to get that upper bracket, and they had started that day off on fire. There's so many lobbies going down around right now, Takata. I'm going to throw it on over to Frankie, Levin, and Minnie to break down all the action and more.